Phone is sliding all over the place. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Time to warm up. I love my title. Can't really see it. My camera. It's very late. It took a while to get out here. But same thing. I'm going to do the same thing this Friday as I did last Friday. I'm working on 110 in the snatch, ideally. 140 in clean jerk, ideally. And what's going to be different is I'm going to do some snatch pulls to a couple snatch deadlifts. Then I'm going to be done and out of here. So in theory, pretty easy session. Obviously, I haven't warmed up yet. Got my flippy floppies on. Ugh. So I'm going to hit the bar. I actually didn't train yesterday, which is the first time in a while that I didn't train. Does not mean I'm going to feel good today, because that just meant that Wednesday was such a hard session that I didn't have it in me to do anything yesterday. Time for shoes. Time for my beautiful shoes. But definitely going to be using straps for the snatches since I'm going to be doing the waves like I did last week tomorrow. Based on how training's been going this week, I'm definitely getting more better. So I'm hoping that momentum continues into tomorrow, even if I don't lift that well tonight. So I think at a minimum, I would like to do 100, 125. But I have a feeling that as I get moving, I'll feel pretty good. I bought a rower, and I finally put it together. It's actually what I did yesterday instead of training, was putting my rower together, or finishing putting it together, and trying it out yesterday. And I actually did it this morning as well. So I am now a cardio menace. I don't have a specific plan as far as cardio goes, but I want to probably just linearly progress it and do it maybe twice a day, maybe once a day, maybe just in the mornings. Right now I'm just, like, I did 5 minutes the first time, 5.5 the second time. So I'm just going to kind of measure the time that I do it as well as the distance, and then try to progress one or the other each time that I do it, and then kind of see where I get stymied out. But the only reason I got it and didn't keep a stationary bike that my roommates were, honestly, I think they just threw it away. I just didn't like the stationary bike. It was just not comfortable to sit on, and the rower was very comfortable. What's up, guys? Just getting warmed up. But the stationary bike is not very comfortable. I didn't really enjoy using it, and the rower is definitely much more comfortable. It's a little bit, I'd say a little bit small for my size. As far as my height, actually, my weight isn't the issue with it. It's actually, if it was built a slightly different, it would fit, or at least it would work perfect. But for the cost of it, how easy it was to put it together, definitely can't beat that. I think it was like 170, probably a little bit more with taxes, which it's about what it was on Amazon for the cheap ones. Which I don't need any sort of complicated rower, just need something. But I'm excited for that. So I've done it twice, like I said, and probably do it again tonight. It'll probably be something I'll do right before I go to bed, just for a little bit, and just to keep adding that cardio in. One of the other nice things with a rowing machine is that you get some extra pulling, not really a ton of weight, but you get some extra, that motion of rowing is going to be working on the posterior chain a little bit, or a little bit of extra shoulder work. If anything, it's not going to make anything worse in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a goal with it. Just kind of progress it, kind of like accessory work. So more cardio than I have been doing, which will just be good to do in general. And it's something that's not like a treadmill where I'm going to be walking more, because I don't need to do any more walking. I do plenty of that throughout the day, and I don't want to make starting to get a little bit of plantar fasciitis. So that's getting not really worse, but I don't want to make it worse doing extra walking stuff, which is basically the only other cardio that I would do in addition to moving around at school and in life. Mowed the grass when I got home as well, so got some extra movement in with that. I've just been kind of bumming it around, but I actually left my left my notebook inside, but I don't really need it for a session like this. I know every single jump that I'm gonna take, so I'm gonna get some chalk in my hand and hit the bar again. I'm gonna do that one more time and then I'll start adding weight. That's kind of a weird thing to say to a guy just lifting weights, but alright. You do your thing there, buddy. I'm gonna keep lifting weights. I don't know why you're saying weird stuff like that, but hey, you gotta be weird. That's your thing. Alright. We're ready. Ready for big weights. The big 40 kilos. Hi. Let me throw some religious shenanigans into a live stream that is centered around lifting weights. Oh, what a goofball. What a goofy goober. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if it's some sort of just bot that just spams religious nonsense into multiple live streams. But you know, someone had to program the bots. Oh, what a goofy, what a goober. Smoke that 40 kilos. Didn't stand a chance. Man, it's really gonna be the last comment left on the live stream. Curious if the adding additional cardio will have any effect on lifting. At least initially, I doubt it will have any impact of any sort because it's not that intense. But if I ever get in the realm of doing it for like 15 minutes a day or so, might. Yo, 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 yo. All right, 60 kilos. Oop. Bump my left leg a little bit. To kind of pay attention to that, make sure I don't break my shin open. I was just kind of lazy on that one. That was one that I could have held it longer. I just had to walk it out, but didn't feel like it. We doing 80 now. I appreciate you guys stopping by. 6 viewers, 3 likes. We're popping off. Man, they really came in, spewed some religious garbage and left. Little chat. A little forward. That's all right. It's gonna finish just a little bit better. All right. 105. Unamas. Not the best rep, but you got it. Just felt slow. Good evening, Surah. Hope you're having a good evening. Kind of nighttime in my case, but I guess it's still kind of evening. It's like 8:30. 5 a.m.? What are you doing up so early? You got work or something? That's brutal. I haven't had to get up at 5 a.m. in a very long time, thankfully. I think the last time, well, 5 a.m., definitely not, but like any time in that 5 to 6 time frame, I think at the beginning of the year, I did once just to make sure that I got to work on time. So we had to be there at like 8, but also didn't know, being in a new school district, not knowing where certain buildings are, or just making sure I got there in time, which is good, apparently, to show up early to those because there's so many teachers in our district. Yeah, usually because of school and teaching, I get into that earlier mindset. I typically will get up between like 6:15 to 6:30, but usually takes me about 2 weeks into the summer for me to break that habit of just naturally waking up that early, no matter what time I go to bed. It's definitely annoying when you go to bed at like midnight and you just wake up at like 6:30 or 7 still, and you just want to sleep as much as you could. So usually after a little bit though, that habit gets broken in the summer. Then I can kind of just sleep as long as I want, which is nice. I still can sometimes on the weekend, but I do find myself waking up even if I have not had enough sleep, and even if I don't set an alarm, which is not ideal, not ideal. But I do appreciate you stopping by. So if it's 5 a.m. where you are at, where are you at? What country are you from? It's, what time is it here? It's 8:43 here, so. Can't be in America, but curious. UAE. Interesting. So Middle East. As far as I know, only thing I know about the UAE is that they have a lot of oil. But that's a lot of countries in the Middle East. Their economy is kind of oil economy based. 5 a.m. on a Saturday though. Hopefully you're enjoying some coffee or something. You're gonna at least be up that early. Yeah. Yeah, it is an assumption I can make as an American that a lot of the Gulf countries are oil based because they pretty much all are. Are there any that aren't in the Middle East that aren't like most of their economy is based on oil production? I think that's a more interesting question. Which countries in the Gulf, if there are any, are not based on oil? So you mentioned like all the Gulf countries, and like my understanding is most of the Middle East is like their economies are mostly based on oil production. Are there any that aren't? Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I think they're all kind of oil based. I know, I think it might have been a video I was watching about Saudi Arabia that was it the Saudis? It's whoever is started that like golf league and is trying to get a bunch of sporting events into the country. They're trying to expand their economy beyond just oil, which even if no matter how you really feel about like oil production or oil use or anything like that, it's something that eventually should be diversified because if there is any sort of shortage or any sort of lowering, uh, Qatar, I thought they were oil based. I can't even see that flag, guy. I'm so blind. Yeah, it's super close. Is that? Oh, I think that's India. I think it's either India or Iran. I have no idea, but that's how blind I am right now. So I apologize for that. But Qatar, what is their economy based on if it's not oil then, or like what's their main thing? Do appreciate you helping me out, Sarah. I am I am very blind right now. I can tell the Iranian flag from the Indian flag, but not without my glasses with the text this small. Natural. That's gas, man. I mean, I get it's different, but we're not we're not gasoline based. We're natural gas based. So still kind of a natural resource like that, but I guess not like petroleum oil. Um, this is funny as an American, we could when you say gas, it's gasoline for us, for petroleum or whatever. So it's kind of a funny thing, but it's we are we are not based on petroleum. We use natural gas instead. So I did not know that about Qatar. I figured that they were similar to that. I'm sure they have petroleum production as well. But yeah, it's interesting. 'Cause the only thing I really know about Qatar is that Meza Hassona, the Olympic weightlifter, is from there. So it's about as far as my Qatar knowledge. And they bought some Bulgarian weightlifters back in the day because they never really had any good weightlifting, but they're able to buy it with their I guess natural gas money if that's what it is. Originally from I don't know if I'd be giving that two smileys if you're from there. It's not a lot of good history there. no matter no matter how you're looking at it, I don't know if it would be a good place to. I'm glad you're not there anymore. I suppose. I don't know how that place is doing now, but certainly wasn't a place that you want to be from for a number of years. I'm sure throughout my childhood, that's for sure. Good old J.W. Bush made sure of that. But whew, that's a very cool place to be from. To be honest, though, it gives you a lot of background experience. Well, that's good. Yeah, I don't follow too much in the Middle East. The last I heard about it was well, Iraq. I don't hear too much from nowadays. It's mostly Iran and Saudi Arabia. So I would suppose in the Middle East, if you're not hearing about a country, it's probably a good thing. If me as an American, I don't hear anything about Iraq or the UAE or anything, I would assume that Qatar, like we don't hear about stuff like that, or the news doesn't talk about those countries. I would assume probably a good thing, right? Probably means they're just doing their thing and not doing any sort of weird shenanigans. So maybe that's the I need to get a map and just like look and like I haven't heard about Uzbekistan in a while. They're probably doing all right, and that's probably not true. It's a terrible barometer, but like we haven't heard anything about Kazakhstan. So I mean, I'm sure it's great there, but maybe I can use that to plan my travel. What places doesn't the U.S. news ever talk about? There's no like politician that ever brings it up. It's probably a good place to go. And any place that's mentioned is a place I don't want to be because there could be a bomb. There could be explosions. All right. So I worked up to 110 in snatch. Now that we've covered Middle East politics in the intermission of my lifting, very important, hard hitting stuff. Um, I've never been out of America. I have never been out of. I've been to technically Canada to see Niagara Falls, but I've never been out of the good old U.S. of A. Our country's very large, so um, not that I'm necessarily opposed to traveling. I just don't got that kind of finances to be going around. And being a teacher, I'm busy 9 months of the year, so it'd only be in the summer. But I haven't had the extreme desire to go, really, to be honest, to any other country at this point in my life. But I don't know if it would necessarily be the safest place to go to. I mean, I assume that there's vast differences between some Arab countries and others, but if I was going to travel, I don't really know. That's the other thing is like you could travel, like I could travel somewhere. I could probably save up, but it's like I don't have anywhere that I really care about going. Particularly like historical things are always interesting to think about and look at, but it's a lot of hoopla to go anywhere. And I haven't really traveled in America to be honest. Like I've been around a little bit, but I haven't been anywhere past Iowa here, which is like a 12-hour drive from where I grew up. So I mean, there's a lot I gotta explore here, I suppose. But that's probably those are probably adventures I'll do more so when I'm older and I can't really lift every day like I can now, and I don't really have anything to do, and I have lots of money saved up. Maybe travel then, but I don't know. I've never really liked or seeked out travel in any capacity really, whatever is necessary. But the furthest from, I guess, the furthest technical place I've been from my home state of Ohio is Florida, which is a solid amount of distance. But as far as being out of the country, it is too much hoopla in this point in my life, and I'm all about limiting the hoopla. But no, I would assume. Have you been to anywhere that's anywhere out west, Surah? As I tell you, I don't travel anywhere. Sounds like you at least have traveled at least a little bit if you've gotten from Iraq to the UAE. Just a tiny bit. Or a large. I don't know how the distance is. That's the other thing that's hard for me to tell. Like here, I could tell you like the drivable distance from here to Florida is like 23 hours, so driving time. But like I have no idea the actual like geographical sizes between Middle Eastern countries. I am 125, Arya. I am 125 years old. I am immortal. Oh wait, I need to start my camera. That's why I'm lifting weights. It makes you live forever. Yep, 125. Thank you, Cupcake. Goofy name. Do you pick the username Cupcake because you're sweet or because you cause type 2 diabetes? That's the real question. That's me, a vampire. I'm not a vampire. I'm just immortal. It's the difference. Not all immortal people are vampires. That's ageism. I just sold my soul to the devil. I'm not a vampire. Imagine if you're trying to sleep in buses everywhere. People are really like, this dude's struggling. He's sleeping on the back of a bus. I better give this guy a sandwich. But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because you have to have enough money to be able to, finance moving around, and in the case, in a sense, I think the most expensive part is not actually the travel itself and like paying for things when you're in other countries. It's the fact that you still have bills and still have everything to pay for here. In the case of like the current life situation I'm in, even if I was like really gung ho about it, I wouldn't really have the finances because I'm paying for a master's right now, and my house. Once my house is paid off, master's is done, then I'd like to get a new car. 'Cause my car's getting old now. Then after that, I'm just gonna be rich because I won't spend any money on anything. But that's a lot. When I got a lot of this gym equipment here, my buddy and I were closing the gym that we were trying to run down in Florida. It ended up being, I believe, like 22 hours. I want to say I left probably about 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. From Florida and got back to my house after midnight. I don't know what time after midnight, but it was definitely. I mean, I guess in a sense it was at least 17 hours. Probably, um, honestly, probably was actually about that. Maybe I overestimate how long it takes, but it was definitely an all-day drive. So I've experienced that long of a actually physically driving. Um, I don't know if I've actually been in a vehicle just like as a passenger for that long. The longest has been I think 12, 13 hours, but did that as a kid going to see great grandparents. But I don't know if I want to sit in a bus for 15 to 16 hours. Like that doesn't sound very like to me when I see videos and see people talking about places like it's kind of how I feel about sporting events. Like if I could just see the stuff from the comfort of my home, like why would I go through a 15, 16 hour bus drive to go and see it in person? I know it's more impressive and you take pictures and see the natural, the actual scenery, the natural scenery um, of whatever area, but I could pay to go watch a football game And I don't want to do that. I've never been to an NFL football game, and I watch a football game. I watch multiple football games like every week. I have any desire to go there, and that's significantly cheaper and significantly easier, and I could literally do it whenever I want. As far as like the cost of it and the ease of getting to it, but that's just too much hoopla. I'm all about minimized hoopla in my life. It's my it's my life motto. That's why I live to be 125. Minimize the hoopla. That's too much. Too much buses. Free food sounds nice though, but I don't think uh, I don't think those Europeans realize how much food I'm going to be putting back. Free food is a buffet for me. That's a lot of food if you're going to be giving me free food. And if people are being polite, I'm probably going to eat a lot more than they think. I can put away some food if I want to. Especially if I was on a bus for 15 hours, I'd be eating a buffet for sure. All right, so 125. I'm gonna do this and then 140. Assuming this goes all right. I actually did a bad clean. That was weird. Jerk felt better than the clean. Those are weird times. Back cracks. Well, that's the nice thing. I have good genetics in that regard, sir. I have always been crackly, so I can't tell if I'm getting more crackly or not. So I'm 31 in actual age, but I can't tell if I'm getting more issues or less as I'm older. So one of the tricky things is like I don't know how much I recover not as well as I did when I was younger, but I also didn't lift as heavy weights. So I'm stronger than I was, 5-10 years ago by a significant margin. So that's going to impact recovery because of just sheer weight and recovering neurologically. So I don't know how much is that versus being older. I mean there is some, but it's difficult to be able to tell for me the difference, which I suppose is a good thing because I know like, oh, I have to warm up more. It's like, well, I also lift. Well, when I started doing clean jerks, I mean, my first like quote unquote PR was like 100 kilos. Like, I've done 65 kilos more than that. So I mean, like, it's gonna take a little bit more to warm up to on 165 than it is 100. So I don't know. I got more gray in my beard. Just a couple of random white hairs, but it is kind of hard to tell. That is for sure. Well, we're gonna do this 140, and then do a couple pulls. Then I'm gonna pull out of here. All right, gotta do a better clean. Oh no, that was very pressed out, but yikes. Well, made up for the bad clean by doing a better one, and made up for doing a good clean, doing a bad or bad jerk. Made up for doing a good jerk with a bad one. So not good in that regard. Oh, I appreciate it, Sarah, but thankfully, with my masters, it's all online, so it's hasn't necessarily been easy, but the organization of it makes my life easy with it. So I've been able to stay on top of it, which is nice. But I should, I guess, after this spring, I'll be a year away from finishing it, unless I take extra classes. But most likely won't be doing that, just because it costs more money, and I don't mind the pace that I'm at now, especially during the school year. But if I keep doing 2 classes a period, spring, I mean summer, fall, spring, then 2 years is like the normal path or the normal time length, and I'm still on that normal path length for sure. But yeah, it's been nice so far. Actually, just gonna spend time learning stuff, and the work, if you stay on top of it, isn't too bad. If you don't wait till the last minute, which I honestly haven't done really a single time, which has been nice. If I was trying to do like 4 classes, I think it would actually get to, well, I don't know what it costs in other places for study, so I don't have a relation, but for 2 classes, it's costing like $3,000, which is cheaper than a lot of places for grad school. For undergrad, or if I was like at the university doing it, it would be more if I had to like room and board and all of that. But I don't know. Undergrad can be really expensive unless you're smart and get scholarships. But it's one of those things that I don't have a good answer why U.S. is expensive in that regard. There's a lot of fluff that makes it go up for sure, but it's also, it's one of the tricky things. You look at other countries and they subsidize a lot of things, and they're able to subsidize things because of the way that their economy works or the size of the country or however. And with America being so large and diverse with the 50 different states, which can in a lot of places be bigger than some countries, it's hard to like say like why college in general is expensive, but it's certainly not cheap. And I think the worst part is not even the cost; is that it's difficult to get a job once you finish college with a degree. Back in the day, it didn't really matter how much it cost because you were like guaranteed a job. And back in the day, I mean, like back in the 80s and 90s or whatever, it was like you're going to get a good paying job. So, like, it didn't matter if it was expensive or if you had loans from it because you were going to get a job and pay it off. And now it's not guaranteed. And, like, I'm a teacher, so I'm not making a ton of money by any regard, but it's certainly it's certainly not a guarantee to even get a teaching job once you graduate. But yeah, they do a good job with that. But the the only issue with um, like that stuff being well, I suppose like if it's like a work contract, like you might have to do other stuff for the university to cover the cost that they're giving you with that. That's still a really good deal, but like right now I can work full time and do my grad school work, so it's not I'm not like obligated to do additional stuff for the university outside of the classwork that I have to do. So there's that benefit. I don't know if it's six times the price for it, but I don't know I wouldn't be able to tell you what the average cost of like a bachelor's degree for the semester classes I'm taking. I would assume if I was taking more than two classes, as far as like a bachelor's would go, which would be typical like a full time student, it would be a good amount more. But for most, I mean, there's a lot of jobs you need a degree for. Like if you want to be a teacher, you need a teaching degree. But for normal jobs, a lot of them, it helps, but it's not a necessary thing. For instance, my good friend, he's an engineer, and he started school as an engineer, got a job in the automotive sector. I started working more than going to school, and ended up putting off school and not finishing it, and just kept getting promoted and stuff, and doesn't really need a college degree now. And I think even his boss at where he works now doesn't have a college degree. So it's like it's one of those things that I think it's the college experience has been inflated to such a high level. I don't know if it's everywhere, but in America, to where like every single student is told like you gotta go to college, gotta get a degree to get a high paying job. When trade schools and stuff, you can get a good paying job and not have the extreme debts, and a lot of those just aren't promoted to people at all because it's not a cool, sexy job to be a plumber or electrician, but those guys make good money, and you don't got all the debt from all the years of going to school and living at college and doing all that stuff. And people argue you need a college experience, but I don't know. But yeah, and I suppose maybe there is that because like if I were to get a really cheap degree, not the dog on Uzbekistan, but just because I don't know anything about the educational levels, like if I get a PhD from Uzbekistan, it might not hold as much weight if I have a PhD from a United States university. There are obviously good schools in Europe and stuff, but I think there's definitely exceptions to the quality that you're going to be able to see in different areas. So I don't know. I know for like international students, there's probably more stuff that helps them get paid for, and whether it's their home country or city or whatever that helps pay for stuff. But yeah, it's certainly not cheap. But I guess if you maybe that is another reason it's expensive if it's like high levels of educate or like higher levels. Maybe because people view it as a higher quality, it helps raise the prices of it even more. But I think the reason it's really expensive in America is due to too many administrators in general, and also the fact that it's promoted to like every single person has to get a college degree no matter what it is. So there's a lot of people that get college degrees that you can't get a job in. Like if you get a college like a bachelor's in like psychology, you're probably not really going to get a job that's in that field. So it's like more difficult to for some areas. You get an education degree and you get a teaching license, like you could probably find a teaching job or at least be a substitute and work to find a teaching job eventually. But if you have some degrees like sports management, like you just there's just not any good paying jobs in that field. So there are a lot of degrees that don't lead to good things, and I think that's also a difference of how people approach education in Europe. Maybe it's not, maybe it's just me thinking that it is different, but I think people in Europe focus more on getting good, either a good job or a good degree that's like impressive, like physics or economics, like something that looks good or something that's going to pay them well after that degree. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe that's completely just me just making stuff up, but um, there are a lot of people I went to college with that just got crappy degrees that they're just working as a moving company or something. It's like because you just there's not a job in sports management unless you happen to know a professional athlete, and those are uh, those are pretty competitive jobs, I would say, because there's not too many of those people. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic for sure because I think definitely education is very it, it's because there's no competition with getting a degree in any other area, and people want to say they got a college degree for the resume building aspect of it, and they don't want to get a practical degree. They don't want to go to a nursing college and pay less for school, and because it's not a big university you're going to be at for 4 years or whatever. But I was lucky to be have parents that were able to help me afford college and help me be there for 4 years and experience that. Um, and it definitely does help you grow as a person and develop. So it's definitely, it's definitely like a good positive experience, but it would certainly have seemed like a much more negative experience if after I got school or after I finished school, if I didn't get a job and I was really poor, just like it wouldn't have seemed as worth it. Or if I had a bunch of debt, which thankfully I was lucky to not have debt from school. So that's a huge thing as well because it's like, yeah, you go to college and you take out all these loans, but in America, for at least unless it's changed, you can't default on educational loans. So if you go bankrupt, you still owe those college loans. And as far as I know, is with bankruptcy, a lot of your I don't say your loans are necessarily forgiven, but you lose a lot of your debt when you go bankrupt, and your educational debt is forever. So it's kind of hilarious because like if you get a college degree, you in theory take out all these loans because you're going to get a good paying job after and be able to pay back the loans. But if it doesn't work in that sense, like you don't get a high paying job or you lose your job and you have no money, then you still have to pay back those loans. And I hope so, Sarah. That's my parents put me on a good track, and I waited a little while because I'm in my ninth year of teaching to start my master's, but a lot of that was just waiting to. Well, I was a special ed teacher for 4 years, and now I'm in physical education. And once I did my first 4 years, there's like they call a resident educator here, so it's like a program for your first 4 years of teaching, and then after that you renew your license. And I was gonna start my master's at some point after that first 4 years, but then I moved to physical education into my fifth year, and so I wanted to wait till I was like actually a physical educator for a little bit to work on that. So in theory, I could have been done with with physical education masters at this point, but in a sense, I'm glad I waited. I would have made more money if I would have finished it earlier, but it's one of those things that I think the timing that I have now with it is nice, especially as when I moved down to the school that I was teaching at and near where I'm teaching at now, when I bought this house, I lived with two people and they just moved out. So now I can kind of, I don't want to necessarily say optimize my life, but I can make everything how I want in my house so I can just be more organized with how I do everything. So it makes some aspects easier. I'm sure I'll get like lonely and stuff, particularly in the summer when I'm not around people every day at school and stuff. But whoop, I don't know what that was. But I don't get that yet because I'm around people all day. So my social cup is quite full most of the time. I did get a text and I forgot what I ordered from Walmart. Oh, my delivery's delayed. Perfect. All right. Good old Waltucky. The best thing in America is I get my groceries delivered, and they're mostly here on time. They're mostly get here on time. I will say that when I think about the possibility of living in other places, the cost of living would certainly be a nice thing in other aspect or in other countries and stuff. And if I had like familial ties to other places, I wouldn't necessarily mind living anywhere really. But I don't really have any strong desire to live in any other particular place. I think once I'm pretty old, I'll want to move to somewhere that's warm year round, and that's kind of like more so because I'll be so old that like I won't want to deal with the cold. But I don't know. I'm gonna teach until I'm 57 at least, and then buy a bunch of dogs and live with a bunch of dogs. It's kind of my retirement plan. Once I retire, actually retire when I'm done, and not just keep teaching because I'm bored, but just buy dogs and hang out with them all day, and then maybe travel with the dogs around America. So I probably won't really care about lifting too much when I'm 57. But the real question, sir, is how many dogs is too many? Because like I definitely want two, like that's bare minimum. Because you gotta have two. But I could, I mean like there's a certain aspect. You know, if I had eight, that's way too many. You have wolves essentially at that point. You have a pack of wolves, and that's really expensive to maintain eight dogs. But I feel like two is a good number, and I want a beagle. I always wanted a pug, but since I had a beagle, my old roommates had a beagle. I kind of want another one. I grew up with a beagle as well, so it kind of put me back into wanting a beagle because a lot of my memories of my old beagle was never too many. you know, yeah. I mean, I feel like with how much energy I put into lifting and like work and stuff, that if that was all taken away, I might need like 4 or 5 dogs to keep me myself entertained all day. Like it wouldn't even be the dogs that would be like, oh no, I can't take care of them. Like I would be too much stimulation for them. I'd be annoying to them. but I think I'm gonna do some pulls now. But I think I would start with two. I never lived with more than 2 dogs at any point in my life. So I feel like two would be good, and then I would have to make sure I don't look at any like adoption things because then I would just go and get another one. I think at that point in my life I wouldn't have any so I would have too much money saved. I would be too financially secure to not just want to keep getting more and more dogs. Pole or pool? I just took off my glasses, bro, and you're gonna type something weird like that. Pole? Why are you saying stupid stuff, cats? This is lifting. This is lifting weights. Go be weird somewhere else. go, go be a goober on your own live stream. Alright. I've made the executive decision that I'm going to do 90, 110, 130, 150, and maybe 170. But we're going to do snatch pulls until they're heavier and then snatch deadlifts. Original plan was just doubles, so it's I think it was doubles up to like 160, so it was pretty much the same thing. It's no big deal. Look how Stuart cowered it out. He puts that cringe in there and deletes his messages. What an absolute un-Chad move there. First you're gonna put in cringe and then you're gonna delete it. Oh, that's even better. Listen here, I'm gonna put some weird stuff in. So I want a funny reaction, and then I'm gonna delete it because I'm too embarrassed. That's even better. All right, I'm just gonna do singles. Stewie boy, Stewie boy. I don't know where you find that emoji, Sarah, but is that just like a YouTube thing? Because I've seen people use emojis like that before. They look goofy. I like them. All right. All right. So 120 or 110. So now 130. I mean, I post my stuff to YouTube, so I guess in a sense, like I'm used to strangers watching. But no, because I kind of view if I like this is like lifting in public. So like I've lifted in a public gym many times, so I don't feel weird about lifting around other people. So I view this as kind of like an extension of that. And I don't know. It doesn't feel awkward or anything. I think when I started doing it a little bit, it was like distracting in a sense. Mostly in the sense that I wasn't listening to music while I was lifting. So that was probably more of a difficult adjustment, but just like having the video playing while I lift. I've recorded my lifting since before I lifted. I recorded back when I played baseball for throwing. So I've been filming myself doing athletic endeavors for 15 years. So I mean, having a camera on is something that I've just all like basically done forever. So it's not weird to me. Um, well, I assume that everyone is an old man with three teeth that I'm talking to. So you don't have to worry about that. But I don't really like. You could pretend to be whoever you want, but you also told me that you were old and you're from the UAE. So if you started talking like a girl, I'd be a little bit suspicious. But I mean, I work with kids, so I kind of know like kid language, and I don't really. I mean, I obviously like I don't mind interacting with children when I'm at school, but if they're I have had like obvious kids pop onto the chat and I just block them. So it's it's not something I really deal with really in general. If it's like kids like I'm 12, I'm like if they're just talking in the chat or like in a comment on a YouTube video, like I don't ask people what their age is or like inquire about that. I don't care. That's weird to ask to ascertain that for the most part. But usually, if I'm live and people are asking me what I bench press and how old I am, I usually can kind of glean that they're not that old. But I'm an adult. Well, I mean, I figured if you're a kid and you were pretending, if you started out your backstory with you're an adult from the UAE that was born in Iraq, like you have a good backstory. So, I mean, if you were, see, the cooler thing is if you were actually like, a kid, that would have thrown me off because you had a great backstory. You told a great lie and then you actually bamboozled me. But kids aren't that smart. That's the thing. They're not going to start with that and then pretend to be a kid or whatever. I'm gonna be pretend to be a Middle Eastern man and have this whole backstory and come back with that. But no, I mean, oh, that and I don't know. To me, it's like if a kid is watching me lift weights, I'm not doing anything that's morally objectionable. So that's why I also don't mind posting stuff online because I don't. I mean, we talked about I guess geopolitics a little bit, but not in anything that I don't think in a controversial way. I suppose the most controversial thing I'm doing while I'm lifting here is I have a hook grip shirt from that has Russia on it, which ironically, of course, everything comes back to politics with me, I suppose. But this is hilarious or ironic, however you want to say it. But right before the Ukrainian-Russia conflict, I bought this and a Ukrainian shirt, and I wish I could probably look back and find the exact date that I bought it, but it was almost a month before any conflict happened there, and I had them both delivered, and I was like, I don't think like I can't wear either. Like it's the most political shirts that I didn't really expect to be political because for weightlifting, like Russia and Ukraine, like they have a lot of good weightlifters, and I like both countries for weightlifting stuff. And then I was like, oh, they're really cheap on hook grip. I wonder if Nat from Hook Grip knew why he would need to get rid of them because nobody's gonna buy them after a certain point. But no, I mean I make it a point if I wear well to just wear the Ukrainian one and the Russian one, so they're not seeing me always wear the Russian or Ukrainian one. I will say that I am biased towards this one because it's black, and I like black shirts better than blue ones. But that's about as political as I get as far as my preferences. The Ukrainian one looks cooler though. The Russian one is just like the letters are. I guess I like the Russian and Ukrainian letters in a sense. It has a good like your good like Eastern Europe aesthetic to it. But you see like actual Russian lifters wear a shirt like this, and I don't know about the. I don't see as many Ukrainian lifters wear the blue one, but there's so many Russian lifters. That's just a numbers game in that regard. But time to do 130. You know, sir, maybe I'm actually a child. I'm actually 11 years old, and I've bamboozled you with the beard and lifting heavy weights. That's the true trick I played on you. We bamboozled both of us. So you just told me that you're from the Middle East. I'm just pretending that I can lift these weights. It's all fake weights and a fake beard. A fake deep voice. A fake old man walk as I'm limping around here with my old joints. It's all smoke and mirrors. All the geopolitical talk is just to throw you off. I got you actually right where I want you. Chris Hansen is standing right out there waiting for you. As soon as you step out from your plane from the UAE, he's waiting. your 20-hour flight to my non-described location to see my lifting shed. All right, this is 150 now, so this will probably be more of a deadlift than a pull. There won't be that shrug. All right, I'm gonna do 170, Now I'm about to be at. I don't think Walt Tucky's getting here anytime soon. Nope. It's delayed. Which I'm excited about. So I ordered some mason jars from Walmart. And there's like little glass jars. You know, I saw a second grader today dress up as a ghost. So I definitely, or as a kinder, no, as a kindergartner. He was dressed up as a ghost. So they're definitely real. I saw one today. Um, it was a pretty funny. I mean, it wasn't over his head. He was just wearing it because they did like a walkathon to. No, that's Chris Hansen. I told you he's standing out the door. You might see his eyes peeking. He's just watching, making sure you're not up to any shenanigans. All right. There's a ghost behind me. Oh, the students today had a walkathon, so they could dress up in like Disney characters or just whatever they wanted, really. And we did. I did have a kindergartner dressed as a ghost today, so I was seeing at least one ghost. A lot of princesses, some Spider Mans. I saw like what I should have asked the student. I didn't think about it because I was busy being a teacher and teaching. Um, they had like a almost like a samurai type thing on. But Batman, I saw Batman today. It's nice because I have so many students, I'll forget their names. So like when I was, and they enjoy it too. So like I forget what Batman was doing today. I think he was walking backwards during the warm up. But I was like, Batman, Batman, turn around, Batman, stop spinning on your spot. But yeah, they look pretty hilarious. And what I always like to do, so I guess kids sometimes have hats, but like sometimes they'll have like a birthday hat. But a lot of girls, longer hair, they'll have headbands, and when they're running around in the gym, they like to just set them on my. I have like a cart in the front of the gym that I have like my computer and stuff on, and they'll just set, if they have a necklace or whatever they don't want to fall off during class, and it never ceases to amuse them. As soon as they put a headband up there, I just wear it. So I have today I had a tiara on, like a princess tiara. I was wearing that, and I don't even say anything about it, and they just keep laughing every time they see me. You look like a girl. Like I had this on the whole time. You guys didn't notice. And it's just they. I've done it every time that they have one on. I even had one student that was like wanting me to wear it. Most of the time they're like, "Can you set this up there?" Absolutely, and I just wait a couple seconds and just pop on some like cat ear tiara or headband thing, which is hilarious to them. Which I don't know. I just find it kind of funny to do. The tiara is definitely that was a unique one, and I actually enjoyed that. A lot of the headbands just fall off really easily, which is why they take them off anyway. But because they're built for kids' heads, they don't really fit my head very well. But the tiara was like it was like kind of snug on there. It was not falling off, so it was actually pretty secure. I know it was weird. It wasn't like just a piece of metal. It had like prongs on it, so like hair ties almost. So like I don't know what kind of tiara thing it was, but it looked like it was gonna be. You could really tie it into some kid's hair. I don't know. My hair's too short to do that with, but we're just 170. And then oh yeah, the mason jars. That's what I was talking about. So the mason jars I got to put protein shakes in and breakfasts and different things like that. So I got I think 12 or I think it's 10 of them, 10 or 12 of them. But essentially, I've been meal prepping, and I want to meal prep protein shakes and just have those like ready made, and just have 2 scoops of whey and some milk or whatever, and just have that all just prepared in my fridge. And that's one of the nice things with having a full fridge in a house to myself is I can kind of meal prep a week in advance and have all my lunches ready. And then I don't really meal prep dinners, but have my lunches for school ready. And then now eventually I had the idea of doing it for breakfasts as well as just having protein shakes. So like I finish training, I'm not like blending up a protein shake or even shaking one up. I just have one ready and I just grab it and go. Make my life more convenient. Optimize everything. All right. Time to pretend I can snatch this. Maybe if I lived in Russia, I could snatch 170. Honestly, probably could. If I lived in Russia my whole life and I was a weightlifter, I probably would be able to do this. Good. And the big reason not to go heavier on a lift like that is simply the positional loss that I'll get. Because I'm really good at doing pulls, I could go heavier, but my hips would end up shooting up more, and it wouldn't be as specific to build positional strength in the snatch. So it wouldn't have as much carryover. And definitely, like, that wasn't too difficult, but my heavy session of the week is tomorrow, so I wouldn't necessarily want to do a crazy heavy pull the day before, but I haven't. I think 170 is actually the most I've done with a snatch pull or deadlift in a little bit. I've been keeping them pretty light as of late, just to focus more on weights that are more specific to the snatch that I'll actually be lifting. Unfortunately, not 170 anytime soon. The potato bug. We can go over there, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this session. So definitely a difficult one, more difficult than I would have liked, but it's kind of what happens with stuff. But one small bag of rice, you know, it's better than some people. You just got to start adding more rice to the bag, and then eventually you'll be lifting one giant bag of rice. Add one handful of rice a day, but it is kind of the neat thing is that when you look at, I think one natural thing to do, probably for anyone that plays any sport, is you're always looking at people that are doing what you're doing better, but you don't realize the level that you've attained at the current point, and that being just so much higher than the average person, but then the person that's average in the sport that you're doing, and just how cool that actually is. It's like my best deadlift is 305 kilos, and like to me, I'm at a gym where there's people that do a lot more weight than that, and it's not like uncommon to see like more people do more weight than that. But then when you think of like in the context of like an average person or someone that's goes to the gym on average, it's a lot higher than what a lot of people do. And so it's neat to think about that. And it kind of gives you the confidence to know that like yeah, you know, like you're not going to be progressing super fast because you're already like pushing limits that are difficult to go past for 99.9% of not even just people but just people who actually want to increase like a deadlift or a snatch or whatever. So it's encouraging in that sense when you look at it in the relative sense. And the other thing that's really helpful too is to look back at old lifts and see how much your movement has improved with similar weights, physique a little bit, but mostly like movement, and then like how you move the same weights or even more weight than before. It's definitely encouraging because it's like a long-term process, and it's kind of a neat thing to see over the years, just how things change. Sarah, you can't trick me. You said you were a dude. But yeah, hits training is not bad at all, and doing like what you might call it, um, like cardiovascular based training. Asking support feminists. But heavy weights or like lifting heavy weights in general can be a good thing. Um, the thing with lifting weights in general is I think that every single person really should do it. And it really obviously depends on your goals. Like if you want to run marathons and stuff, then it's not really, you know, probably as critically important. But if you're an average person, an average female, average male, average whatever, and you just are exercising, it is important to just simply be lifting weights to increase your muscle mass in general, because that's going to be a good thing to help stave off the effects of aging, but also to build denser bones, which is good for males and females, particularly females. They tend to have more brittle bones because of just the female body reproductive process that happens with them and their blood loss. So it's just good in general for everyone to do in a sense. And that's the hard thing when I'm someone that like will do lifts like I did tonight and be like, lifting's good for you. And it's like people see that as like it looks brutal, it looks difficult, and it's like, yes, in a sense, it is, but I wouldn't encourage anyone to do what I'm doing. I would just encourage people go learn how to squat, learn how to deadlift, and do it twice a week. Like it's you don't have to do it every day. You don't have to do it 4 times a week. Even you do it twice a week, and like makes it's very easy to progress when you're not worried about what number you do because you can progress the number that you do. You can progress the repetitions because that's actually how I approach my accessory work now. So obviously for the main lifts, I'm trying to increase the weight that I'm doing, but also volume a little bit. But for accessories, for instance, like leg extensions, I had like 50 pounds, and I think it's a 50-pound machine. Doesn't really matter, but 50 on the leg extension machine, and I did like 120 reps the previous time that I did the movement. This time I tried to do the last time I did it on Wednesday. I tried to do 150 reps. So same weight, more volume, and that's going to give you a positive effect. You're going to add more muscle, you're going to break down more muscle and stuff like that. And if you're someone that, for instance, has like joint issues and stuff like that, like focusing on just increasing the volume that you do is going to be something that's going to help you avoid the issues that you might encounter if you're trying to lift heavy weights, and also help build up your joints. So if you wanted to, do a squat or something, you would have more joint stability. Because that's another reason that I want to keep my accessories light and focus on the volume is I am focusing on the hypertrophy of the muscles, but also on getting not necessarily hypertrophy of the joints because that's not really a thing, but just working on joint health and trying to allow them to feel more recovered. Like I do hard enough training in the main lifts. I don't want all my accessory work that I do on top of that to be brutal as well because I just won't do it. You can only mentally do so much hard training in any day or any week. So with the lighter accessory work, it allows me to still push it in a way that's not mentally difficult. It's just, I don't want to say monotonous, but it's just like I just have to sit there and do like a set of 30 leg extensions. It's not physically difficult. I'm not grinding or grunting or whatever, but it just takes some time. It's kind of like cardio in the sense like cardio is not difficult to do. It just you have to do it for time, and that's not always the most enjoyable thing. With the rowing, I'm hoping that I can get into the habit of doing it more now that I have something that I enjoy doing. But as far as like lifting weights, like you can get a lot of health benefits from lifting really light weights on a consistent basis. And eventually, if you're a human, you're going to get stronger and adapt, and you're going to have to lift heavier weights to get a similar stimulus. And it doesn't really matter. Like, if you don't care what weights you lift, then it doesn't matter what weights you start out with. And you start out with the bar. And you can do that for 3 sets of 10 in the back squat. And then next week, you try to do 4 sets of 10. And then if that gets difficult, then you just do, the 4 sets of 10 again and add a set of 5. And or just you're like, I'm going to accumulate 50 reps, so I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 and a couple sets of 5, a set of 8, and just eventually add up to the 50 and just try to build that way. But um, you know lifting weights is something that's really good to do as far as from joint health and just general health, and should be part of a lot more people's lives. And it's really not complicated. I don't to me, it's like the weird thing. It's like, oh, it's hard, or like I have bad knees, and like you just don't do as much weight, and then it doesn't hurt. Like I have to warm up for a bit to get my I want my shoulder to feel good or knees or whatever, and like I want to feel good to lift heavier weights. But like if I just was lifting just for general health, like I could just come out here and squat 60 kilos 100 times and be fine, and it wouldn't be fun. I'd be kind of bored, but like if it was really that bad for me to lift heavy weights, like I could get plenty of health benefits from doing 60 kilos a bunch of times and just doing that and coming out and doing basic strength movements for, you know, short or with light weights. And that's what is good to do for accessory work sometimes. It's not always good to, always push everything super heavy all the time. It's good to have those, lighter sessions or lighter exercises for a mental aspect, but also for for the joints. And that's like the leg extensions. It's less of like I'm not doing light leg extensions to like blow up my quads and make them bigger. It's actually to kind of help my quad tendons and help, you know, improve my knee health in general. Not that I necessarily have bad knees, but it's trying to be out in front of that. And the quad tendons are definitely something that gets sore a lot. And so it's trying to like kind of like build those in a sense, but give them an exercise that's not going to aggravate them more or strain them more, and something that's going to work that area that I want. Same with like the leg curls. Like I'm not getting a crazy stimulus from doing leg curls, sitting leg curls with 45 pounds, but eventually it will kind of balance that out. Same with like the tricep extensions. Like it's light, but it's meant to help build the triceps and biceps. If I'm doing cable curls or tricep extensions, it's meant to build those muscles, but it's also meant to help those joints just get extra work. That's not just holding a heavy load. And that's something I learned from baseball, doing a lot of band work and shoulder work and stuff like that. It's a lot of light work that's meant to just get blood into the muscles, which eventually, obviously, will trickle down to all over the body. But it just builds into that area. So you're not necessarily. I'm not doing band work for baseball to improve my shoulder strength. You kind of will because you're doing exercise, but it's meant to just get blood in there and allow the joint to be happy and healthy. And I think that is that's something that everyone can do with lifting. It's not difficult. It's just you have to build the habits. I suppose the habit is the difficult part. That is the hard part, I suppose. But the actual act of lifting is not difficult unless you want it to be. And I want it to be difficult. And that's my burden I choose to have. But, sir, I do appreciate you hanging out during my training session. Not the most exciting one that I do, but Fridays are meant more. I mean, there was some, heavy lifting, but it's not a true maximum session or the hardest session I'll do in the week. It's not necessarily even a tune-up for the session I'll do tomorrow. It's just to kind of practice a little bit and to have a session that's kind of fun. Because, like, if I came out here and snapped 90 kilos, like, I'm just going to be kind of bored and not really want to do it. If I come out here, I'm like, all right, I got to hit 110. Like, it's a tough weight, probably a little bit more than I should if I'm going to go heavy tomorrow. But same time, like I did the session last week and lifted well the day after, so I would assume that I'm going to feel pretty recovered. Minus the pulls, I added those in; those are new. But I hope you enjoy your morning and your coffee. I certainly won't be having any more coffee tonight because it is late at night. But I don't know what I'll be. Probably. I don't even know what I'm going to eat later. I'm going to eat something, but yeah, take care. Have fun in the UAE, but hope you enjoy your coffee. I'll be sure to drink an extra cup for you tomorrow.